let you go. There's no way. I'm already still burning. So hold to me close. Now baby, I do what I'm told. Still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1,000,000 life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. Cooler than cold, I'm all in. So load up the dice, so heavy. The way that you roll, I'm falling. So I never fall. I'm ready to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1,000,000 life, yeah. We could roll the dice, yeah. Act like you surprised, but you already know. You're my lucky strike, and I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. I can't let you go. There's no way. I'm already still burning. So hold to me close. Now baby, I do what I'm told. Still learning to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1,000,000 life, yeah. We could roll the dice. Act like you're surprised, but you already know. Oh yeah, got lucky overnight. Jackpot when I got the invite. Let me wrap my arms around you, cause I can't go home without you. And my heart just vibe with you, babe. Wanna go sky high with you, babe. Gotta bring you close to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. And I got to tell you, if you didn't know, then I got to tell you that you're my lucky strike. Cooler than cold, I'm all in. So load up the dice, so heavy. The way that you roll, I'm falling. So I never fall. I'm ready to take my chances, to take my time, to keep on dancing, to walk that line, yeah. You got me shifting the paradigm. No longer wishing, you're my lucky strike. Love the way you ride. Look into my eyes, say you're ready to go. $1,000,000 life, yeah.
right, folks. Well, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another week of the RecPoker podcast. It's actually episode 551, if you can believe it. This is the chats edition of the podcast. We also have a forums edition every week, just talking strategy. Now, I'm your host, Jim Reed, Blusterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on Twitter. And I have the best freaking job in the world, talking poker with my friends here on the podcast every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube. And you can join us every week for free and win a prize just for showing up. Now, we're going to talk to our guest, Mark Zhang, in just a moment. But first, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. It's just an hour north of the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and you can find out more details by going to runaces.com. We're going to have our own little event happening there in the next couple of weeks. More details about that at the end of the show. So, most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we depend on support like our sponsors and also from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $15 a month. Premium members like Eric Weinraub. I don't know if I mentioned Eric at the end of the year. Thank you for your support. Eric's got some cool projects of his own in the poker world coming up, and I can't wait to get to know him a little better. And for everyone else, if you're thinking about making the plunge, like I say, most of what we do here is free, but you can get a free account here. All it takes is an email address and a smile. But if you want to take your membership to the next level, all it takes is $5 for your first month if you use the code RecPoker at checkout, and you can come and see what all the fun is all about. Now, they let me host the show on Mondays, but I'm only one man, and it takes a group, a village, a gang, a crew to make all the magic happen here at RecPoker. We call this group of wizards the Wrecking Crew. And if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the Wrecking Crew, you can just go to rec.poker/crew, or you can just listen up because you're going to meet a few of them right here on the air tonight, starting with none other than our producing co-host, Chris Jones.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or 5x5 in the Poker Stars home game or leading our monthly deep dive segment.
And I'm John Somsky, also known as Poker Geek MN everywhere, and I help organize the home games.
And I'm Keith Brandt. That's Monkey System just about everywhere. And I facilitate the RecPoker group, Monkeys Off Table Tools.
I'm Kim Kilroy. I'm Fergie56 in the home game, PetVet or PetVet33 on socials. And I have a hand history review once a month on, I think, the second Wednesday of the month.
I guess that's you, Rob.
Okay, I was waiting for Mark. But anyway, I'm Rob Washam, and I'm known as Radman50 just about everywhere. And you can find me on the first and third Wednesdays leading the book discussion in the book study group.
And I'm Sasha Sutton, and you can find me at Poker for Girls on Twitter.
And the reason Rob was waiting for Mark, we've got Mark, Mr. Bullet Zhang in the chat tonight, a recent Wrecking Crew member. Mark is also the guest of the show tonight. When we get new Wrecking Crew members coming in, we like to have them on and give a little interview so RecPoker Nation can get to know them a little better. So let's just dive right in. Mark Zhang, thanks for coming on the RecPoker podcast as a guest.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Now, Mark, you and I met last summer in Las Vegas playing at the same table in a WSOP event and got along like a house on fire. Over the next little while, we talked about some ways that you could get more involved in RecPoker. You're an online tournament professional. Is it fair to say that online tournaments are sort of your area of expertise?
Yes, that's what I've been playing for the last 2 years, I believe.
And it's been great getting to know you a little better. You've got some amazing skills. You've got some fantastic knowledge to share with our group. And you also have your own monthly study group here on the first Thursday of every month for our premium members called Mark's Office Hours, which I've joined a couple of times, and it's been a lot of fun. I really like the way that you think about poker. So, Mark, let's get to know you a little bit here, and I'll just remind our audience here, if you have any questions for Mark, feel free to type them into the YouTube chat. And if you're one of our Wrecking Crew members, just unmute and I'll call on you. And if you're in the YouTube chat, stick around to the end of the show. We're going to give away a prize for folks that type the words food bank into the chat box, because we're trying to support the food against insecurity around the world. So I hope that people stick around to win a prize later on. And also right now, start typing famous poker players' names into the YouTube chat. We'll be playing Stake, Study, Stack with Mark at the end of the show, and I want to get some names to play with. So, all right, Mark, let's go way back, man. You're an online tournament pro. You enjoy live tournaments as well, I know. What made you decide to get interested in poker in the first place? Did you play a lot of games when you were younger? Did it just seem like a great way to exercise that fantastic brain of yours? What was your way into poker in the first place?
All right. Thanks for all the compliments. That's a lot to take in. So I started with poker when I think I was in high school, and me and a couple of buddies were just playing for like 1 cent, 2 cent, or I don't know, maybe it was 5, 10 cents during the breaks. And I mean, it was a fun game because like gambling or like these type of games were a whole new thing to me. And like from coming from an Asian family, like you get your parents tell you not to gamble and like not to get involved in any of those things. So yeah, I just started playing with a couple of friends, and then I was interested, so I started reading books. I think I read the book of Gus Hansen, like Every Hand Revealed. It was like 2000, I don't know, 10, 11. When so I started also depositing $50 online and I played $5 sit and goes just to try it out. And when I was in college or like university in Europe, I played poker to actually just pay rent. Like I could actually make enough money to just pay rent because I was just too proud to ask my parents for money. I did that, and I remember after university, I just quickly stopped because I was like, okay, being a professional poker player is a lot to do. Like, it's a lot of responsibility to take care of your like bankroll and the rare variance and everything. So I didn't play for like 2 years. And I had a regular job at the bank. At some point, I don't remember the exact year, but 2 years in, a friend of mine, he told me, "Oh, I have this great like home game, and with people that he knows, and the people were really bad." So I went there and I was just crushing this 1-2 game. I think at this point I was starting to consider it. I wasn't fully like sold. What actually made me become professional is when I believe it was 2017 during the EPT in Barcelona. I just ended up playing 1 month of cash game, and I was making like a 2-5, and I ended up running really hot and making like $25,000 in 1 month. So I was like, okay, maybe I could give this a try. That's actually the point where I was convinced I could give it a try.
That's amazing. So I've got all sorts of questions coming up in the meantime. So first of all, if folks don't know, so you grew up in Luxembourg, which is a delightful small country on mainland Europe. And when you were playing in these first of all, what was your study? What was your course of study at university? What was your major?
Oh, I did economics.
Okay, great. So I think e-commerce is a great kind of like philosophy approach to economics. There's got to be some carryover into poker there, incentivizing and a little bit of game theory and that kind of thing.
Yes, for sure. But I mainly did it because I didn't know what else to do.
Right. Yes. Well, and you want to keep the parents happy, right? So you have to do
Right,
something.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
go to
gotta do
school.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was not very happy when I told her I want to become a professional poker player. I believe she cried.
Oh no, no. Yeah. I think that's a fairly common response from what I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
But I mean, you must have stopped those tears once you showed some of your results. I think that, they tend to get on board a little quicker once they're like, oh, and here's $25,000 I made this month. Did that make a difference?
No, I think that I didn't tell her about that. The first time she was actually behind me was when I ended up winning like a big tournament for 200,000, and then the Luxembourgish like news wrote a piece about me, and now she just collects this piece and shows it to all of her friends. And
Yeah.
like, yes, it's
Oh, that's
embarrassing, but at the
awesome.
same time, like I'm
No,
happy.
yeah, of course. She's
Yeah,
proud of you. She got her
yes,
baby
yes,
boy in the
obviously, yeah,
newspaper.
yeah,
Oh, good for you, Mark. That's great.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so you've had some great success. Let's talk about that a little bit. So, not a lot of players get to brag about six-figure scores. You've had a few very large scores. Have they all been in online tournaments, like you were saying?
I think my biggest live cash was like 30-ish thousand, which it was at the EPT 2 years ago in the 1K, and they had record numbers. It was like 6,000 entries, and 1K was
Hmm.
6,000 entries, and I think it's when we were 15 left, I was like second or third in chips, and I just took a massive beat, and I ended up being 13th. It was like 600,000 for first. So yeah, that one stinks.
Yeah.
But online, yeah, most of my scores have been online.
And when you were younger and still like exploring the game, was that online as well, or was that live as well?
A
What was
little
that
bit
like?
of both, but most of my volume came from online because I just get to play so many more hands than live.
Hmm.
So it's really, if you play live poker, it's really hard to know if you actually made a mistake because
Hmm.
you're just so biased by the run out or by the person that actually would call this hand that nobody else would call. You think, oh, it's a great play, or
Right.
uh, s- so yeah, most of it came from online poker, and that's why I think if I play a lot of online poker, I have a good idea of like what's actually profitable in the end, in the long run.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's definitely true. We're all such bad narrators ourselves for what happens in real life. Being able to look at the data objectively online is a great way to know how you're actually doing and the mistakes that you're actually making. We can fool ourselves into thinking that we're better than we are if it's live play, because our memory can be a little tricky with us sometimes. I think that's
I
right.
remember a friend of mine, he tried playing poker professionally, and he was asking me which pair he would open from under the gun. And I would say like sixes or fives, something along the lines of that. And he would open every pair. But because he plays live poker, he doesn't see the compounding effect of the mistake that
Mm.
opening deuces under the gun is just not that good.
Yep. I think that's a great example. So
Yeah.
when you play online, do you use like Poker Tracker or other tools to analyze your play?
I mean, you can look at Poker Tracker and look up the hands that you played, but I usually, when I do is I use GTO Wizard and just um train spots over and over again.
Hmm.
Especially like sports that don't happen very often. Let's say like you're on a big final table or final two tables. Like, how often do you really get into that spot in one summer at a World Series of poker? Like
Not often
there are so
enough.
many people, right? Yeah, so many people. You play like 30, 40 tournaments, and now you have to like, if you're deep, like you don't get deep that often. So if you're deep, I just don't want to make any mistakes.
And so how do you choose what spots to analyze? And when you've chosen that, about how long do you spend on a particular spot before feeling like you're going to move on to the next spot?
Um, I believe last Monday, it was last Thursday, right? We were having my office hours and we were training a spot where somebody opens. It was actually it was an ICM situation where I believe there were like 3 tables left or 4 tables left. Maybe it could have been 25% of the field left. Basically just ICM spots where if you mess up a spot, it means the difference between cashing or not cashing or making the final table or not making the final table. So I would just look at the spot and think about all the possible hands I would be in that situation in or with, and somebody would 3-bet me, and I would imagine what kind of hands they would have and how my response with all the hands that I could have would be. So you're at this point, because if you're looking at the spot, even if you're playing live, you see, oh, I have queen jack off, I'm in cutoff, I raise, and he 3-bets me. What do? I fold. That's like too simple of a study session to me. Like I have to imagine, oh, what do I do if I have 25 big blinds and I have jacks, or if I have ace-9 suited, what do I do with king queen off? At this rate, you just practice all the hands at the same time in the same spot. So it's just you learn way faster.
Yeah, that's a great technique.
General strategy, right?
Yeah. We talk about that from time to time, where you just change one variable at a time and you keep the rest of the situation constant. That's a great way to train your brain to understand sort of the context of the situation and not just following rules on how to play an individual hand, which is comforting for recreational play. We like rules, but there's no substitute for actually understanding the spot. And so you need to examine it from a bunch of different angles. I love that. That's a great answer.
Yeah, so that's what I do then.
And so you've been playing professionally now for several years.
Right.
Have you had sort of continued success the whole time? Have there been bad months, or have there been moments where you're like, is this really what I want to be doing? Or have you been running bad? Or what's the sort of emotional roller coaster of it been like for you?
So I think the last year I would consider I have been running bad. Like I've been breaking even or slightly losing. But that's just because mainly I play like higher stakes. Like when I was in December, I played the 1K 7 times. I didn't cash. And
Oh,
I played the 10K, played it 3 times. I didn't cash. So
that stinks.
That's of course like if you would cash one of them, it would be like a huge difference in the year. Or if you run deep in one of them. Because it's like 5.5 million for first or 1.4 million for first. So like it's a huge tournaments are huge variance. So I do have like people that stake me or like buy action. Yes, sometimes it is tough to like just to be a tournament professional, because if you don't win the necessary flips in the end, it's basically the difference between a winning and a losing year. What can you do about it? Pretty much nothing. You can just play your best next time and do your best every time. Try to win the maximum every time you get. Like when you have top set, don't pot it, right? Just find a line that will make you more money in the long run. So yeah, you can just continue playing more and continue playing better and try to improve and be the best version of yourself every day.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, I don't have the chutzpah to be an MTT professional, because the swings, the variance, putting so much of your net worth into these flips, or not even net worth, but like so much of your bankroll, like you say, depends a lot on winning the flips, half the time. And if that doesn't happen, I mean, I can feel even from my recreational experience, like I'll tell the audience. So this was the year I did more poker travel than I have before. I played a ton of live events, some bigger ones than I'm used to playing as well. And it was 2023 was my first losing year as a poker player, mostly just because I was playing more big live events, and they were the variance matters a lot in those. That's my line. It was totally not a skill issue at all. It's just the variance, that kind of thing is how it works. But I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it full time. Do you play other, like you used to play some cash games? Do you play smaller field tournaments, or is there a way that you found to sort of combat that variance, or is it just add more volume, keep playing, grind it out? What's your secret?
So, well, the first thing I want to say that imagine if I'm playing online, playing 11 tables. So sometimes it happens that within 10 minutes, I rebuy 5 times because I just keep getting sucked out on every time. And at the same time, like on the screen, on the table on the top left, I have like a final 2 tables deep run where this could actually save the session. And it's just hard to like keep your focus and not be faced by a 2-outer, a 3-outer, a gut shot on the river, whatever it can be. Like it's just part of the game. You signed up for it, so you have to suck it up. Everyone gets those bad beats, and it's just how you handle it.
Yeah,
that's
true.
I'm just more, I think, mentally resilient than other people. Yeah.
And you've talked about like not turning down spots because when a spot is plus EV, you're going to take that spot because you have to squeeze every bit of equity of EV out of these spots.
I remember a spot I had. I don't know when it was, but like it was this year. It was a tournament. I just sat down. I bluffed 2 or 3 hands in a row. I got caught every time, and then the fourth hand I opened because it wasn't open, and I ended up bluffing again on the river because I was like, you have to do it. So I actually did it, and it worked out. And it's just like, I'm not too fazed by what happens prior to a hand. I try not to be. Everyone is at some point, but it takes a lot to actually get me going. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like that would be a good skill for a poker player. Sasha, you had a question, I think.
Thanks, Jim. Mark, it is delightful to hear your story, and I love getting to know you, and I really appreciate your modest beginning. I'm going to butcher this quote. I think Laura Eisenberg has been on this podcast, but Laura recently said, tournaments are like a film whose script has already been written. So I commend tournament players. I started there and migrated early to cash. But I appreciate your very strong mental game work. I want to just shout out this idea of live versus online, the hand exposure. I do use online micro stakes as kind of a home gym at times, just to give me that hand exposure as a live cash player. This idea, I love what you said, Jim, about bad narrators, or Mark, what you commented about, that sometimes live you can't assess as well, and you have a greater database with some online tools. I would challenge that a little bit to say, for example, our goal, whether we're playing recreationally live or have professional aspiration or are pros, that I think, like being great editors, as a writer, I can speak to that I have become a great narrator for myself. And that's a lot of hard work. And even though I see a fraction of the hands you see, my own coaching, my own writing about poker, the reading I've done and the study I've done has allowed me to have a very honest assessment. I recently figured out, for a number of reasons, why, even looking at various ranges from players that I trust, why small pairs under the gun or early are less desirable for lots of reasons. And I've come to that conclusions even live. I've come to those conclusions without seeing, without having some of the online tools. So it's not really so much a question, but I did, for yourself, did you feel like you had, here's my question, like you had an evolution, let's shorthand this as kind of a weak narrator and a weak self-assessor to a strong narrator and a stronger self assessor of your play. Did you feel those inflection points in your evolution as a player?
Is there a way you can rephrase that last part?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there, in your professional evolution, did you feel
Yes.
like you went from someone who maybe at an earlier part in your career
Right.
couldn't really evaluate as well where your
Yeah.
weaknesses and leaks were, and then you got to a place where you are narrating your strengths and weaknesses better to yourself?
Right. Yes, I think everyone goes through that development. It's just, I'm not saying like people who play live poker don't get to understand certain spots. It's just like my friend who opened Deuces, it just took him a year to figure it out. Like you will eventually figure it out, but like when you look at online, you figure it out in like 2 weeks or 1 week, because the compounding mistakes that you make, it's just, you can see it right away. That's the difference, right? Like I'm pretty sure some people like you are actually really good and you figure those things out quickly. And it's just like other people, they just need more time to, or like some people never become like get to that point. Like you can see how people play over like for years and they haven't changed their behavior. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, and God bless those people.
No, first of all, yes, and it's yeah, thank you. And also, no, I'm grateful for people who, you know, it's so cruel and reckless live. It's cruel and reckless everywhere. Poker's a sick world, a beautiful, beautiful sick world. But yeah, I'm grateful for the folks who can't figure their stuff out. And they say, I remember we had like Lyman on the show, and he was like, yeah, when players live say really crazy, dumb stuff, like just agree with them and just like, just like help them be bad. It's so sick. But yeah, and you know, and sometimes like I will occasionally meet like guys, you know, at the Aria who are working in other departments and they're supporting the poker room, so they're carrying money to Poker Go Studios or whatever they're doing or whatever, and then they'll start to talk to me about hands, you know, and I realize just how rudimentary their knowledge is of poker, and I do a lot of this. I just like nod. You know, there's nothing much to say. Or like, yeah, women shouldn't, it's hard for women because men just push them off their hands all the time. And I'm like, sure.
That doesn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah. That was actually gonna be one of my questions, Mark. When you're playing online versus playing in a live tournament or a live tournament series, do you have like a different warm-up or prep activity for each of those, or is it sort of like the same thing that you do you know, every time that you're going to play to prepare yourself?
Well, if I play live poker, I usually don't prepare that much because it's just one table. Like it's not that challenging to play one hand at one table. Like I just focus on like how does he look at his cards, or how excited is he when he grabs his chips, or like how quickly does he grab the chips. Like those physical tells. When I play online, I actually do like a 1 hour practice session or study session before I actually get to play online. Just like for live poker, it's never almost the case because people don't first play like GTO, so I don't need to know perfect spots. Let's say I make a day 3 at like final 2 tables at the World Series of Poker, then I would, before going, I would look up some ranges just to be it's like accurate. I didn't answer the question earlier, like when you asked me how I reduce the variance in tournaments. I just when there's no series, I just end up playing 2-5 cash games or like 5-10 cash games. And having a backup too helps with sort of like sleeping at night. So you don't have to worry about what if I don't win anything for the next month or year.
Yeah, that's a good, I think it's important that people do that too. It's good for your brain, and you know, I think it's also a good way to fill some time too. In a live tournament schedule, you're really tied to when the tournaments are starting and, you know, what
Yeah.
else is available that day. Having some flexibility to dip into some cash games feels like a really good way to balance your time and also to give yourself a little relief, like you're saying. That makes sense.
Yes.
So you've progressed as a player over time, obviously.
Right.
What are was there a moment when you decided, okay, I know enough about this game to go pro? And what was there some sort of strategy that you finally sort of felt like, oh, I get this part of it, and now I can take this next step? Like, how did you decide I'm now good enough to take this show on the road?
I actually don't think I'm good enough.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
all right, good answer.
I I mean, I'm better. I'm way better than the average, I would think. But I always compare myself to like just the next tier of people above me. So I have 2 or 3 friends, they play the Triton events, and I'm comparing myself to them. So I actually want to get to that level. And
Hmm.
it takes a lot of effort and dedication, of course. Um, I think just it's like the way I'm getting there is just like studying every day and just not, I mean, not every day, but whenever there's a series around, like for the World Series of Poker, like I would start prepping in April or March. Right? That's what I would do.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I answered your question. Sorry.
No, I think it's about that sort of mindset. Sasha's got another question, but I just want to ask, so can you name a few of those players that you feel like you're aspiring to be like, or that you'd like
So,
to match them in time? Who are
so
some of those players?
one of them is Roman Rabic. He plays he played some Triton events and he did quite well online last year. I think he won over 1.5 million online.
Hmm.
Another friend is Daniel Smilskovic. He also played some Triton events. He also finished second, where Negrano finished first in the Poker Go uh, tournament at the area, like I think couple days ago. Then I recently, I think I'm gonna join BitB, which is a staking group hosted by Patrick Bennett.
Oh yeah.
So I think when he shares some of his knowledge, it would make me also a better poker player because I learned actually a lot just watching some of his hands on Instagram whenever he plays.
I love
Um,
that. That's a good one.
I believe those are like the 3 main ones that. Oh, another friend of mine, he actually started playing poker way later than me, and he played smaller stakes than me, but he got really lucky in like November. He ended up winning the WSOP Europe main
Okay.
for 1.5 million. Yeah, so I'm just surrounded by people that win first and second places except me. So yeah, I have a lot of aspirations to get there.
Good for you, Mark. Well, it sounds like you're due.
Yeah.
That's the lesson I'd take away from that. Sasha, you had something else?
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Mark. I saw Eric Seidel again yesterday at the Ori, and I'm so cool. You know, I just pretend I don't really recognize him or whatever. Like, but Eric, you have Eric's modesty, and Eric's modesty and beautiful humility has carried him across like 3 decades in poker. So I think
Right.
you're well on your way. I love that I've watched some of the Triton cash streams. My mind is just blown. No drugs necessary. Just the level of plays. I love that you're aspiring in that way. I wanted to circle back to something that that Jim said about like we like rules. I think that's absolutely true, especially for new players or maybe recreational players, or depending on level of study and level of commitment. That's no judgment; it's just how it breaks down. And I've written about the importance of kind of having those expectations and how dangerous that can be to sort of play poker by the rules in some sense or by the book. You know, Alex Fitzgerald's book I'm just finishing on exploitative play, which I know Rob Washam is covering in his study group, is just an absolutely brilliant text. And Alex's very rebellious mind has taught me a great deal on how to just, I mean, I already owe him a pony or 2 ponies, just stuff lines I'm taking that are just so weird and so beautiful and so disruptive. In a tournament context, and Alex does write to a tournament audience, but in your experience, do you feel like there's less room to be more disruptive or more creative, or you can still find those spots? Because in cash, you can really leverage a creative spirit a lot.
Right. So I think in poker in general, not tournament or cash, nothing is black and white. It's actually a lot of gray. So I think, yeah, of course, like when you're playing shorter stack, you have to be somewhat math-based, depending on the stack sizes and the positions. But when it comes to post-flop, because pre-flop is a little bit too solved, even like a weaker recreational player, they can just look at the ranges and they're not making mistakes all of a sudden anymore, right? What most mistakes start happening is around the flop or by the turn, where they just have so many sizes, or like between one big blind to between 10% pot, 25% pot, 50, 100, and 200 and 300% pot that you can choose. Now it's already like quite tough to follow the GTO strategy. So there's a lot of maneuverability on how you can play a certain hand, depending on, but it always depends on the assumptions that you have of the other person. Because if you think he's too tight or he's too loose, you can punish that by just by one way or the other. Like a really easy example is if someone at the cash game table, he's playing every hand, basically. Like how to counteract that, right? It's not very hard to know because it's a very obvious strategy. But now when you play a certain player that is not good, but also not bad, he's like more in the middle. And now you have to figure out like what's the middling part, like in which part he is actually weak. Because he's not gonna misplay pocket aces or pocket jacks, whatever. But he might misplay King 8 suited against the big blind on 10-7-4. Like those spots, you can actually win a lot of EV in poker because people don't know how to play the middling hands. They know how to play top pair. Everyone knows how to play top pair, how to play a set, how to play an open-ender, a backdoor, flush draw, whatever. But like having like a weaker hand is actually where people mess up the most.
And I would challenge, I'd say that he definitely doesn't know how to play jacks because no one knows how to play jacks. But other than that, yes, I completely agree. Sasha, sorry, you had a follow-up?
No, I love what you said just now, Mark. And I actually had a player just like that yesterday at my table. Like he wasn't too wide, he wasn't too tight, and he had so much kind of relative junk in the middle. And I didn't play with him long enough to kind of figure it out. He opened all kinds of stuff out of position, like fairly early. And it was like you're absolutely right. It's a little bit harder on the cash side to analyze the guys who are like merged their cuckoo-ness, right? They're not at 95% VPIP. They're not at 10% VPIP. And the middle guys, I love that. I love that you sensitized me to that. Thank you.
So Mark, you offer coaching. It's one of the ways that you share your poker knowledge with the recreational poker world. And if folks want to work with Mark directly, you can go to rec.poker/shop and see all our other coaching opportunities there. Lots of Wrecking Crew members like to work with our members. There's a lot of great ways to work with other Wrecking Crew members, not only Mark, but Sasha, Chris, Kim, myself, Rob. I think Keith now that Keith has some personal news, we might dox him about a little later on. Keith is going to be offering some coaching stuff in the shop as well. Mark, what are some of the common mistakes that you feel like other people are making that you've sort of learned to avoid making yourself? Like, let's do just a little, drop some knowledge bombs on our audience here, just a little bit here. What are some of these like common mistakes that you feel like, oh boy, this guy is like, I could teach this guy something?
So even in my free time, I was watching some YouTube vlog, like poker vloggers, and today or yesterday, I was watching this one guy, RecPoker, I believe his name was, and he defended like Jack 9 suited from the big blind, and the flop comes Ace Jack 9, and the middle position bets, and he check raises Jack 9. He said, "Oh, you can get value on like against any ace," which is true. But the problem is like this hand does not check because there are no turn or river cards that benefit you. Like there's not a single run out except maybe 8 and then 5 that wouldn't put out like any sort of better hand because every ace has counter fade outs. All the king queens or the king jacks have like gut shots and they have better overcards and they can bluff you off later. If the ace comes, you just end up check folding. So this is just a hand like you always want to check call, especially on the flop because you don't have much visibility like on later streets, especially when you're playing deep, right? Like that. That's a very common that's a very obvious mistake to me. But he check raised on the flop like it was the easiest, like it was middle set or something. I think not just that's the recent mistake I can think of that someone was doing. But in general, I think if people play poker, they should just focus on what they know, right? Like there's no like when you're in a spot and you don't know how to play a hand, just based on your knowledge, make your best judgment or assumption because you can't figure it out on the spot because you don't know the spot. Like you can sit here for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes, like maybe you get a physical tell of somebody, but if you don't know a spot, if you don't know what to call against 12 big blind shove from the button in the small blind, you're not gonna know until you look at the charts, right? So like I would rather just be cautious and like not make a mistake than like trying to solve something that you have no idea about.
Yeah, I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll remind our YouTube folks, if you've got any questions for Mark, toss them into the chat box there. I've got a couple more as we get to close to the end of the interview portion of the show here. So Mark, what's one poker memory that makes you smile when you think about it since you started playing professionally? I can see you've got one already. I saw the smile crack.
No, I was just I'm just saying that they're all terrible except when you win.
So I mean, maybe your mom pulling out the newspaper clipping. That one's gotta get the pearly whites out there a little bit. But
yeah,
give me another
that
one.
was good. But I think just like having a 1 month grind where you actually put in so many hours and you end up winning, that's actually super rewarding because when you win something like big, it shows you that all the work has been paying off. And let's look at my last 12 months. I didn't have any big scores. Like I think I finished 11th in the Venom on ACR for 80,000. But
nice.
After that was it was $500,000 for first and bounties. Okay, so that money I spent on WSOP, of course, and at WSOP, I think I had 80K in buy-ins and I cashed for 65 or something. If I end up cashing the main event, it would have been different. But it's just poker is such a cruel game that when things don't go well for 12 months, it's not that I start to doubt myself. It's just like I'm like, oh my God, when is this gonna turn? So when you actually end up winning something, it feels just very good. And another thing would be just sitting down and playing with a lot of good players. That's actually also a good feeling because from if you compare it to like the 1-2 games that I started when I was just a beginner, or like when I started my whole poker journey, I think that's also very rewarding.
Yeah, I bet. I believe it.
Yeah.
Chris, you had a question.
Well, Mark, I mean, I love hearing your story. I love hearing about kind of your build up since 2017. Sounds like you're playing a lot of high stakes online tournaments, and I think the past couple of weeks we've heard a lot of things going on in especially the high stakes tournament scene, but all of online poker has had a lot of sort of energy about bots and RTA and the dangers of potentially playing there. And what's your take on that, and whether you feel comfortable that you're playing in a fair playing field, or what's your take on sort of some of the stuff that's been going on lately?
Did you hear about Patrick Leonard's Twitter message?
Yes.
I think that one's so great. Like we as a community should hold like the people that like Negreanu or other people that represent the poker side. We should hold them accountable for what they are what they are representing, right? Or they should communicate with the people, because I remember the GG situation. The guy won like 47,000 and some change on the cash game table, but only 35 or 34,000 got like seized. So what happened with the other money? Like, is the money going to get returned to the people? Like I agree with Pax that they are not cheating like GG, they are cheating us. They're cheating our money. It's our money that we put in, our trust. At the moment, I have not been playing a lot of online poker. Not because of that, just because there's no like huge series going on. Like I think the Venom on ACR is happening in the next week or in the next 2 weeks. I might play that. It's a 2600 PKO with 5 million guaranteed. Also, I think ACR had some issues, like they had bots and they won like $10 million. It's a bot ring. ACR has been having those bots for years, and people all over the internet have spoken up, but nobody actually did something about it. Even when ACR did something, they are just like they're banning like the accounts, but the new bots keep showing up. Like that's not the solution. You have to like implement more security. Like maybe like an idea would be to have actually a face cam on when you're playing, you know. But like I'm not a specialist in that field on how to regulate it better. Like I would know they have done the GTO fair play check or whatever it was. I think that's helpful. That it did help catch some cheaters. I think that's all what I have to say about that.
Yeah, well said. So we're getting close to the end of the interview here. If folks want to find out more about Mark Zhang and his story, you can go to rec.poker/Mr. Bullet, and you'll find Mark's Wrecking Crew page there with some stories and links and photos of his recent success and getting together with Rec Poker members and that kind of thing. And I'll say again, if folks want to work with Mark or other members of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/shop/coaching, and you'll see all the different Wrecking Crew members there and find someone to work with. Mark, have you taken coaching? Have you been coached by other people? And why was that important? And like, what do you get out of that you can't get from just studying on your own?
Well, a coach helps you just to find out faster, like your leaks. Like sometimes you do things because you think it is right. Especially like people. Here's the thing: people think when there's a flush draw, you always have to protect against the flush draw. That's like people care a lot about protection, the flush draw. But if the guy is gonna chase down the flush draw anyways, like you're not really protecting because you can't bet. Let's say you have a weak pair. Let's say you have queens on king 9 8 6, and you're betting for protection. You can't really bet too big because at this point you're value cutting yourself, but at the same time, so you choose a size where he actually has the odds to call anyways, and you're not actually winning anything by protecting it. What ends up happening is you're actually folding out that part of his range where he has like 10% to improve. You're supposed to keep that in, to keep that 10% in the hand. So he might bluff the river and you can bluff catch. Because you're losing the same bet on the turn when you bet and he calls and he gets there. Or the flush comes on the river and he bets and you call it off. It's actually the same bet, but you actually gain that additional bet from that 10% hands that have zero equity against your hand. Right. So I don't know I don't know what your question was, because I was just thinking of like I was making up a spot. It took all my mental capacity. What was your question again?
No, I think you actually nailed it. I think that because Andrew Brokus talks about that sometimes on the Thinking Poker podcast about how we can't protect against the flush against draws because they're not going to fold anyway. We'd have to use a size that was so large it actually doesn't benefit our hand to use that kind of a sizing. Yeah. So I think that makes perfect sense. Sasha, you had one
very
question?
quickly, Mark, I'm glad you brought that up because Ed Miller actually talks about flushes are so rare compared to straight draws. Giving somebody a free card on a straight draw is a much different set of calculations than worrying about shutting down the flushes. And Alex, in his book, Fitzgerald, talks about just the river as the golden land to realize your equity, and lots of bad cash players, as you well know, just shut down, just this terror of losing a hand. So whether they don't even care about the sizing, they're just shutting down, and it's pretty misguided as strategy.
Right on. So we're going to wrap up the interview here. Mark, we've started a couple new segments at the end of the show for our guests. So we're going to play 2 games with you tonight. The first is called Stake, Study, or Stack. So I'm going to give you 3 names, and you need to choose 1 to stake in a poker tournament or cash game, 1 to study with, and 1 that you would stack at the tables if you got a chance to play against them, okay? So based on our conversation, the 3 names that I'm going to look at here are Jan Nasser. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Famous Luxembourg player. He's 1. Daniel Smilikovic, as you mentioned, is a 1. And Patrick Leonard is 1. So you can stake 1, study with 1, stack 1. What's it going to be with those 3 names?
So stake, study, and stack. I would love to stack Daniel Smilikovic.
Yeah.
Yes, because he's a very salty person, and it's just really fun. We have a friendly. I'm very good friends with him. It's just like to see his face when he gets stacked. It's really fun.
Good answer.
I would study with Pags, and I would stake Jan.
There you go. I thought I was giving you a bit of an easy out there with Pads, because I know you want to do some studying with him anywhere, but those are good answers. All right, so then the last thing we're going to do, Mark, and then I'll encourage folks to start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat, and we'll give away a prize at the end of the show here, because we're getting to the end of the interview. We're going to do our speed round, Mark. So this is what we call closing the action. This is a rapid fire series of questions. I want really fast, quick answers, just like boom, 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 boom. Okay, speed round. Okay, to get a drink, because it's gonna we're coming at you hard Hard and fast, speed round, closing the action coming up. And if you can say pass, if you don't have an answer, you can say pass.
Okay.
All right, we're going to start with an easy one. What is your favorite poker hand?
Aces.
Good one. Is poker a gamble game or a skill game?
Skill game.
What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
When somebody takes too long.
Yeah.
When somebody tanks for no reason and then folds, I hate that.
Nice. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Good. See, we didn't phase him. Is Ace King a drawing hand?
No.
Are you pro chop or no chop?
No chop.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Lazy.
What's one thing that you're afraid of?
Pass.
Name one cartoon character that you think is real.
Bugs Bunny? I don't.
Okay, there's a yellow light coming up. Do you speed up or slow down?
Speed.
And do you like to register early or late reg?
Late reg.
Okay, last question now. This doesn't have to do with poker. You can take your time with this one. Looking back on your life, whether it's poker or not in poker, someone puts a gun to your head and says, okay, Mark, you need to go back and do one thing differently. What's the one thing in your life you would do differently if you had to?
Oh, buy Bitcoins early.
Yeah, right. Great answer. Mark nailed it. He got the speed round. I'm just doing some quick math here. We got 416 points. Excellent work, Mark. That's great.
Thank you.
Fantastic score. So if folks want to get in touch with Mark, like I say, you can head on over to rec.poker/Mr. Bullet and get involved. Mark's study group that he runs, Mark's Office Hours, is on the first Thursday evening of every month. Go and check that out. And I just want to say thanks for joining the Wrecking Crew, Mark. You've been a great fit so far, and I can't wait to get to know you a little better over this wonderful year that 2024 is going to be. Thanks again.
Yes, me too.
All right, well, let's roll into the last section of the podcast here. If folks want to start typing the word food bank into the chat, we'll give away a prize in a few moments. But first, Keith, let's talk to you a little bit about here. You've got some personal news. Can we share it on the podcast? If so, unmute and dive right in, boss. I can't wait to share this fantastic news. You've been looking forward to this for a while.
Yeah, sure. I over the holidays I retired. I'm done.
Woohoo!
My working career is done. I got all kinds of time to study and play poker now.
Amazing.
And participate even more actively in rec poker. Like come to these Monday night meetings, which I often haven't done just because I'm too pooped at the end of a Monday night.
That's great. Now, Keith, you've been Keith's had a countdown on his phone for like the last 2 years, counting down to this retirement. So I know how excited you are, and you've talked about getting more involved in the learning activities around here, doing some coaching of your own now that you've got some time to dedicate to that. Do you have any like hard specific plans for how to use your time differently? Or are you still just like breathing deep, relaxed breaths and just like not waking up first thing in the morning and just enjoying the lack of structure that an early retirement brings for a guy like yourself?
Well, last week was the week of taking that nice deep relaxed breath and binge watching a couple of series.
There you go.
Now I'm back in business this week. And
there you
go. My girlfriend and I are talking about moving out to Las Vegas. In fact, we're planning a trip down there for a couple of weeks next month to do some house hunting, and I'll also stick my nose into that Venetian MSPT event too.
Oh, nice. February, from what I understand, is a much better time of year to be in Vegas than in Wisconsin. So good decision.
Yep.
Good decision, Keith. The way to work
it's
that
almost up to room temperature by the end of February.
Well, good for you, man. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for our members that get to work with you directly now that you've got some more time. Congratulations again. Way to go. That's awesome. John Somsky, why don't we talk about some recent home game results, and then we can give away a prize and pat this baby on the bum and wrap this one up?
Well, we'll start off with our No Limit Hold'em Championship Series. This is a game that happens on the first Wednesday of every month, and there is a Player of the Year points race that for who will win that. And this month in January, none other than PetBet33 Kim Kilroy got her
Hey,
first No Limit Hold'em Championship Series win this month. Actually, this year.
congratulations, Kim. No surprise.
Then a really mad guy, got his first nightly victory of the year. The very first victory of the year. That was January 1st. Bruce K54, Bruce Kiefer.
Kiefer? Nice guy. I know.
I think it's, I'd go Kiefer. That's how anyway, he got his first nightly victory of the year.
Let's call him Bruce.
Yes, Kelly Stork got her first international victory for the year. Aces 54320. Kathy Chain got her first international victory for the year.
Nice.
And B Chip Charles Allen won the LPP event, so he can contact info at rec.poker for his free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Yeah, Charles is no stranger to the winner's circle. Congratulations, my friend. And you'll love that free month at Learn Pro Poker if you haven't already tried it. They're one of our first learning partners. We love sending people over to Learn Pro Poker. Great site run by great people, and you'll find some fantastic knowledge there. Rob, you've been keeping track of some of our home game results for premium members with this new program we started last year, tracking the ROI for some select few. Do we have some results to mention this week?
Yes, we do. We have the results for December.
Okay, drop it on us, boss.
Number 1, Keto Man 335. 290% ROI for the month of December.
And Rob, this isn't just like a one-off. They have to play a minimum of 4 tournaments or something, right?
4 tournaments. Yes, you have to play 4. And he played many more than 4. So he had a phenomenal month.
Amazing. Way to go, Kian.
And then right behind him is East Coast Bitter.
Hey, Ben.
Who again had a wonderful month at 230%. I mean, these numbers in December are crazy numbers. Nothing like we've ever seen before. And cover your ears, everybody.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
Number 3.
Oh god.
Is Gopher Boy TJM.
Oh man. Yep. Yep. Yeah, he does win a lot of poker tournaments, doesn't he? I mean, like him or lump him. The guy, he knows how to play poker. I will say that.
Well, yeah, he got busted Saturday night out of the Canterbury 2-day tournament, Cheap and Deep, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to win the Bosky that night. It's like, what the hell? Isn't it? I just can't believe this guy. Anyway, 222% for Gopher Boy TJM Taylor Moss. Wow. Oslo Border came in fourth at 192%. And Elvira 11 snuck into 5th place at 176%.
Joe Coolis. Congratulations to Joe. Joe's been on a bit of a tear lately, actually. He recently won one for the thumb, I think. So he's on a roll. He's
been on the top 5 twice now, I think, since September. So I did September, October, November, December. So he's been in there twice out of 4 times that we've had this award, I guess you could say. So amazing. Congratulations to all those people. Keep it going. And remember, you can also get involved in the ROI of the month by becoming a RecPoker premium member.
That's right. The home games are free to play in for everybody. The pins are free to win for everybody. We are giving out some prizes for the top 5 ROI members each month. That's just for premium members. So come join up in the home game club, have fun for free. If you want to be included in this ROI competition that Rob's running, that's only open to premium members and Wrecking Crew members. And no surprise, we keep seeing some of these active members at the top of these standings because, you get involved, you start talking poker with your friends and coaches. All of a sudden, it turns into success on the felt. So thanks for putting that together, Rob. And folks can find these results at the RecPoker blog. If you go to rec.poker/blog, you can find a few the monthly updates that Rob puts out there. Very cool.
Yeah, and I'd like to see more premium members taking these top spots. We seem to be getting a lot of Wrecking Crew members up there. So I don't know if that means anything, but I'd like to see some premium members take us down, you guys. Don't let us keep winning this stuff.
That's right. We're going to keep shouting out the top ROIs of all these players. And it's great seeing some premium members coming in there and unseating some of these Wrecking Crew members that already, listen, some of our heads are already way too big. We don't, let us down a little here. Come in and deflate the noggin a little bit every once in a while. Taylor must. Among many of us, not just Taylor, but a lot of us, could use a little deflation every once in a while. All right. Well, without further ado, I guess
somebody happened to beat Taylor in an important game in December. Just saying.
It was in the mixed game championship, wasn't it? That was Kim, that was so cool. Kim
It was heartbreaking for him. Heartbreaking.
Then we like it all the more. We're all the happier. We're all the happier. The more pain on the tables, the better. John Sofsky.
I was just gonna say it's just like Ken to crush the will to live of all of our opponents.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. She loves it too. Well, congratulations again on that, Kim. And I don't know if I've said it in person, but Kim, congratulations on joining the Lifetime Achievement Club, along with Dave Westerveld, for being only the second member of all time to reach 50 home game wins. Congratulations. That's no mean feat. So way to go. Way to go.
Really impressive. Really impressive.
Yeah.
And let's spend another whole episode talking about our favorite wins against Taylor. Can we just do that?
Oh, that would be a great episode. That would be when's his birthday? let's do an episode of just laying bad beats and slow rolls on Taylor Haas.
Yeah.
I'll have to avoid that one because I don't think I've ever beaten Taylor at anything.
I think I've gotten lucky a couple times. The guy does know how to do it.
We should maybe get all like the Twitch streaming lowlights, and have just all of the that'd be good.
Now we're giving Taylor a hard time, and it's easy to do. But I would encourage if you like what Taylor does. So Taylor streams his home game play every Wednesday night on twitch.tv/RecPoker. You can go watch him play in real time. He talks about his decisions while he plays. He really is a phenomenal poker player and quite accomplished for a recreational player. And he also offers coaching through our Wrecking Crew program. So that's a great way to find out more. If you go to twitch.tv/RecPoker on Wednesdays, you can find him streaming along every Wednesday night. And right around the corner, after January and February becomes the month that some of you know as March, we call it Marek because it's time for Marek Madness. This is Taylor's baby. Every year he runs this ladder bracket tournament where some of the best here at RecPoker, a mix of premium members, Wrecking Crew members, and qualifying winners from our Heads Up challenges throughout the year go head to head, all Marek long. And we have every Wednesday night, we stream the play of some of these heads up matches with a special guest. Usually some poker celebrities come and join us in the booth to commentate the matches and to add some color. And it's a really, really fun group. And it's a really fun opportunity. So look forward to Wednesday nights in March. Marek. You'll be finding some great stuff that you can get involved with for free. We'll give away some prizes in the streams, and it's a really fun way to learn along and to have fun and to really focus on your heads up play. Don't let the time that you are playing heads up for real be the first time that you think about playing heads up. It's a hard thing to practice. It's a great thing to brush up on before it matters. You don't want that time when you're first thinking about it to be when all the money's on the table. So find some ways to practice your heads up stuff. Do it here at RecPoker in our home game club, and be a part of Marek Madness going into March of 2024. All right. Well, I guess I have to say, oh my God, next weekend, it's RecPoker weekend in Running Aces, folks. We are going back to Mecca the fantastic Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. I'm going to be there. Chris Jones is going to be there. Eric Jin's flying all the way up from freaking California. I'm not sure who else is. Yeah, Keith coming in from a state away. John Somsky is going to be there. I think Andrew Feist is going to be there. A lot of your favorite Wrecking Crew members are going to be there, and maybe even Taylor. Who knows? But a lot of your favorites, I promise. And we're going to have a fantastic time. Extra prizes. We're doing a 4-tournament schedule that John Barrows and the poker manager there is putting together for us. We're going to raise some money for some food banks. We're going to donate some money to some food banks. We're going to have a box where you can bring your non-perishable food items. We're teaming up with a fantastic food bank in the Twin Cities that will be the beneficiary of this event. And we're going to have cash games. We're going to be giving away prizes, Running Aces swag, RecPoker swag, memberships, all sorts of cool stuff, meetup games. Yeah, don't miss it. January 19th and 20th at Running Aces. And if you go to runaces.com, you can find out some more details there. And if you have a player's card and you mention that you're coming for RecPoker weekend, you will even get a discount on your hotel room, folks. So don't say we never did nothing for you. Come on out on January 19th and 20th and join me and a bunch of my poker friends at Running Aces. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, you know what? We're getting kind of late in the show here. Not a single person has entered the words food bank into the YouTube chat. So we're not giving a prize away. If you want a prize, you're going to have to come to Running Aces next weekend, and we'll be giving away enough there to make up for it. So I'll thank them again for their sponsorship. We couldn't do what we do without them. So to John Barrows and everyone at Running Aces, we really appreciate your support. To all our premium members pledging $15 a month, it makes such a big difference to what we do here. We passed 100 premium members earlier, or just last year, which is a real pivot point for us. I'm so proud of what we've done here. We've got 1,500 community members. We got 900 subscribers on YouTube. Things are all moving in the right direction. So if you want to help out what we're doing here, being a premium member is a great way to do it. But if you go to rec.poker/support, you can also find some other ways to help us out without spending a dime. And we really do need all the help we can get. So we appreciate all your support, folks. Liking and subscribing, signing up for things that we do. There's lots of ways to get involved. And I want to thank everyone else who made 2023 really a fantastic year for RecPoker. So without further ado, thank you to our guest, Mark Zhang. Thanks to Sasha Sutton, John Somsky, Rob Washam, Kim Kilroy, Chris Jones, Keith Brandt. I'm Jim Reed. Thanks for listening in. And you, the listeners, we couldn't do it without you. So have a fantastic week, and we'll see you again soon on the RecPoker Podcast. Good night.